everyone. Today is Tuesday, September 23rd. I'm Omar Jimenez. Coy is a bit under the weather today, but I'm so happy to be back. I actually loved this show when I was in high school, so it's a little bit of a full circle moment for it to be my turn to bring you the best 10 minutes in news. So let's do it. We're going to begin in Southeast Asia, where the strongest storm on the planet so far this year is wreaking havoc. Super Typhoon Regasa made landfall in the Philippines Monday after generating sustained winds of more than 165 miles per hour. To give you an idea, that is equivalent to a Category 5 hurricane. More than 10,000 people were evacuated ahead of the storm, which lashed parts of the island nation with destructive winds and torrential rain, prompting fears of landslides and flooding. But tens of millions of people in Hong Kong, Taiwan, and the Chinese mainland could be impacted by the storm as it makes its way through the region. Chinese officials say they're in the process of relocating as many as 400,000 people in low-lying coastal areas, and as of this taping, Regasa is expected to reach the Chinese coast by Wednesday with winds equivalent to a Category 3 hurricane. No thank you. Meanwhile, in New York, nations from around the world are gathering this week for the 80th Annual United Nations General Assembly. Leaders of the nearly 200 UN member states will take part in speeches, meetings, and summits focused on high-profile issues, which includes Israel's war in Gaza, which has seen a new wave of recognitions in recent days. And by that, I mean some of Israel's biggest allies formally declaring Palestine as its own sovereign state. France, for example, formally recognized the state of Palestine during a UN summit on Monday, a move French President Emmanuel Macron announced back in July as he urged others to do the same. The historic move follows similar announcements by the UK, Canada, Portugal, and Australia just a day earlier, which drew this response from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
I have a clear message for those leaders who recognize a Palestinian state after the horrific massacre on October 7th. You are giving a huge reward to terrorism. And I have another message for you. It will not happen.
And the wave of support is now adding to the pressure on Israel. It's also leaving one of its biggest allies, the United States, in an interesting position. President Donald Trump is scheduled to deliver his first UN address of his second term today, as the U.S. finds itself increasingly isolated in its support for Israel's war in Gaza. The Enclave's health ministry says the war has killed more than 65,000 people so far. It's also led to increasing accusations of genocide, which Israel has denied. Meanwhile, from a small town in Georgia to the front lines of a global crisis, an American nonprofit is tackling one of the world's most urgent challenges: childhood malnutrition. Mark Moore was actually inspired by a CNN report on famine in Niger, and his company, Mana Nutrition, has now helped millions of children in dozens of countries. Here's Anderson Cooper with the story.
Mark Moore's company, Mana Nutrition, helps save the lives of malnourished and starving children around the world. Mana Nutrition makes what's called ready-to-use therapeutic food, RUTF for short. It's made with peanut butter, powdered milk, sugar, and vitamins, a simple recipe that's revolutionary in the fight against hunger. It can bring severely malnourished kids back from the brink of death. Mark's factory is in rural Georgia, but he began working in Africa decades ago.
When was the first time you went to Africa?
I went in the late 80s, and I was a college kid.
What was it about Africa that changed you?
I grew up in Flint thinking I was a poor kid. But then you go to Nairobi, and you realize, I was born on third base. And that powerful experience just gets in your blood.
Nearly 20 years ago, Mark was an Africa specialist in the U.S. Senate when he saw a report I did on this miraculous treatment that was saving kids' lives. Back then, it was made by just one French company. Their product was called Plumpy Nut. From that, Mana Nutrition was born. The nonprofit, built next to a peanut field in Fitzgerald, Georgia, has been producing its own RUTF since 2010.
So this map logs the 57 countries that Mana has gone to since it started.
How many kids have you saved, do you think?
at least 10 million if you look at the production numbers.
There are a number of RUTF suppliers around the world that we're able to tap into. Mana is one of the most crucial, especially as it comes to us being able to utilize U.S. government funding. And so they're essential to the whole system. And we just couldn't do much of our work without him.
Good to see you, brother. How are you?
What's the change you've seen?
Any child deserves to meet their potential. I see children meeting their potential when before we were losing them to this useless stuff. These aren't our kids, but in the great human family, they are our kids.
All right, everyone, time for 10-second trivia. Which of these European cities has 0 stop signs? London, Paris, Madrid, or Berlin? If you said Paris, très bien. There's no stopping you. The French capital uses roundabouts, traffic lights, and right-of-way laws to regulate traffic, but no stop signs. Speaking of Paris, the next story takes fast food to a whole new level. Each year in Paris, waiters and waitresses from across the city take to the street for an iconic tradition, the course des cafés. Servers literally race through the heart of the city of lights, Paris, with loaded trays in hand, competing for a chance to take the podium. Our Saskia Van Doorn got an up-close look at the storied race alongside one of this year's competitors.
This is really a challenge for me.
This is Eva Fontaine, and she's not training for a marathon or the Olympics, but for one of Paris's most iconic traditions, the 100-year-old waiters' race. Born in the 1920s, it was created to celebrate the heritage of French cafes and to showcase the skill and dexterity of those who keep them running.
Don't run. Stay calm, stay focused, and try to balance well your tray.
It's race day. The waiters are picking up their bibs, and the goal is to cross the finish line as quickly as possible without spilling, running, or carrying the tray in both hands.
Let's go! Are you going to
Eva's off to a great start. The tray is steady. Now we're into the final stretch. You can feel the tension. The crowd is cheering. Competitors closing in. Eva Fontaine pushes forward. Every step counts. And across the finish line, what a performance. Eva Fontaine takes 4th place, just shy of the podium, but a fantastic effort.
Today's story getting a 10 out of 10.
Santos Vagos for life.